Which is the Letterboxd one-liners for Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Let's go. Couldn't understand anything the old guy was saying. Awesome film. Why wasn't Tim Holt a bigger star?
Oh, there you go.
It's like our podcast in one line.
It kind of is a little bit. I do like how mushmouth he is, though, because that's real. You know, that guy would not have perfect elocution.
Darker's teeth look really white, though.
Yeah, they do there. But Tim Holt. I think Tim Holt's a victim of his own circumstances. Like, in the sense that like he does a good performance in this. It's just it does what it's supposed to do. It's just, you know,
he was just next to a career best by Humphrey Bogart and a career best by Walter Houston.
But if he was trying to outact them, the character wouldn't be good. So it's like almost like a catch-22, right? Like
Ambersons is before this, right? It was like 42, I think.
Yeah, it's before. Yeah, that's right.
Damn.
And in the meantime, he'd gone to war and got, you know, kind of more older and more weathered looking. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a more weathered cowboy.
It's a more different cowboy.
Different cowboy.
Seems to me that going camping with Bogey isn't very fun.
I mean, I could have told you that without watching Treasure of the Sierra Madre. He's drunk the entire time.
Let's keep the Dos Equis around. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he was drunk and he told a film critic while filming this, like he saw a film critic that had like doubted him in the past, and he's like, "Oh, I can only play good characters, huh? Well, you know, you're about to see the worst shit you ever saw."
Oh, because he was an unlikable
character.
Dude, got it. All right, yeah, that makes sense. I love the idea of having a quick snack before a big shootout.
Yeah, the shootout in this, like the shootout between you know, bandits in like the hills and fucking,
Oh, that's right. They have an hour, so they all decide to eat. That's right.
Beans with coffee. Can we just take a moment? Beans with coffee. Do I need to say anything else?
They're Mexicans, I guess. I mean, that's like classic Hollywood being like, well, they're Mexican, they eat beans. Like,
well, it's a fine thing to eat on camping. I'm just saying the combination of those things are not usually too great for the digestive system. That's all I'm saying. If I was going into battle, I don't know, you only got what you had.
I don't know. Maybe if they ran out of bullets, they could just start shitting at them.
Bandits also ride around on horses. Like, so if you're eating beans and coffee and then riding a horse, seems fucking terrible.
Yeah,
sounds like a bad idea all around, if you ask me. But they do. It's like, oh, they're not going to be here for 45 minutes. Let's go eat.
I love I love the scene. I love the scene where they're passed out though, and the prospector is like, "Hey, you're gonna want your beans. Eat your beans. Hey, you're gonna want your beans," and they're just completely asleep. And it goes on for 30 seconds.
Beans, and musical fruit. Bogart inventing goblin mode. Yes. Yes, indeed. Hard agree.
It's goblin mode. It's you think that I'm not going to take my goblin and go home?
He does great talking to himself stuff.
Yes.
As it gradually escalates, and he has the whole wagon train of the donkeys.
I love that it's a different kind of talking to yourself than like the noir kind, where it's like, you know, like that's when I went, you know, walked down the street and I thought somebody was selling the gold, but in the, like I don't know, he's becoming almost like like you have to imagine that prospector talks to himself all the time too. Although even he's like, whoa, talking to yourself is a little much for me.
I kind of imagine that's what Oliver Stone sounds like.
At this point, yeah.
Except for about JFK.
Probably.
Thank you. There's both fools and gold in them there hills.
True. They're kind of fools. They're not the smartest. They're learning on the job, right? Like this is not. You never want to say like I'm built different to like an old man in a hotel that's like gold makes people do crazy things. Like you could already tell fucking Humphrey Bogart from the beginning is a little off his, you know, he's just a little off. Like that's why he's in the position he's in anyway. And then he's like, "Oh, I would never do that." And it's like, bro, like we just saw you beat a guy up for $200. Like,
right, exactly. We know very well you would. Yeah, you kidding me?
You asked the same guy 3 times for, you know, a peso. Like,
right.
No, that's one of my favorite things is we don't get any backstory. That's other than that, you know, Curtin liked that peach harvest that time. I mean, we don't know anything about these guys or how they got to be in these circumstances. These two, anyway. I love that. That's great. That would never happen now. Now you'd have to have the fucking prequel that tells you Psych 101, you know, how they grew up. And
well, that's the difference between Sorcerer and Wages of Fear. You know.
But look at like even B. Traven. Like, I mean, for a different reason. Like nobody knew why he was in Mexico, right? Like he's either a German or a Dutchman or an American.
He's definitely one of those things. Yeah.
So he's one of those things, and he's in Mexico City for
could be a leprechaun for all I know. I don't know.
Like it mirrors his own thing where it's like he wrote these short stories where he's like, I'm not going to tell you any information about myself, and it's like, or his characters apparently their backstories, which is good, but like, you know what I mean, like it mirrors his own reticence. Again,
in the biopic industrial complex, but make a biopic about that guy first.
So they tried to write 5 separate biographies about him when professional biographers gave up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Anyway, back to the Letterboxd one-liners. Get a load of this fucking guy energy. Yes.
This fucking guy.
Get a load of this fucking guy. Yeah.
Oh, the other thing that I wanted to say
back to that. Yeah.
No, but the B. Traven guy, there was some Mexican journalist that befriended the guy that he thought he was, like the Hal whatever guy, and he like, you know, got to know the guy, like secretly was like watching him, like, you know, and finally he was like, it's you're B. Traven, and the guy's like, I'm going to literally kill myself like if you publish the story, and he's like and then like the guy's talking to like the camera and the BBC thing, and he's like, I told him, if you kill yourself, it's on you, man. And he's like, thank God he didn't. Wow. And it's like, Jesus Christ.
Those were different times. Fred C. Dobbs walked so Daniel Plainview could run. Perfectly displays what greed does to a motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's true.
Well, and it's also like there's, you know, it's like the underclass, right? Like where if you're the guy for the underclass, it like a lot of these stories, like because it's around here, like you don't get more empathy for the people around you, or like you're not like, oh, I wish I could have the money to like, you know, alleviate the suffering of these other people. You're like, I wish I had this money, and then I'm gonna go fucking bitch out the guy at the restaurant, you know,
exactly.
and like customer service.
Send the meal back, even if it's done right.
And he brags about it. That's right. I forgot he was an aspiring Karen. Yeah, that's
Karen.
Well, in the novelization, he is like he gets the 2 pesos from the fucking you know, the John Huston kind of guy. He gets the 2 pesos. He goes to the Chinese restaurant and instantly starts complaining to the Chinese restaurant about how they've raised their prices by a few cents. And
fantastic. But I mean, it's all tied up in the I know what gold does to men's souls line. Though,
yeah.
Right. I mean, it's perfect in there.
No, I think it's interesting what they were able to like take into this character, because this seems like a very hard character to put on screen without kind of the B. Traven like narration of telling you what's going through the guy's mind, right, or like what he's like, you know what I mean? Like, and Humphrey Bogart does it perfectly. But that line perfectly embodies it, where he's like, I'll send the meal back. Even if the meal's fine, I'll send it back.
But B. Traven also adds that he says something like he just wants the very human pleasure of being able to complain. So there's a lot of that kind of, you know, we're not just looking at who's the bad guy who falls apart or who can't take the pressure. It's, you know, there's really an unbeautiful analysis of human nature going on.
Fred C. Dobbs would make a great main character on Twitter.
Yeah.
He'd be like the venture capitalist that did get the gold or whatever, and like he manages to like invest some of it and then spends the rest of his life just bitching about like really inane shit to the point where it's like, all right, man. It's like
no, he wouldn't be the venture capitalist. He'd be the guy who invested in Bitcoin and thinks he's a millionaire.
There you go.
Hey, do you want to get sir? I got the winning Bitcoin. Number 13. I got all the winning numbers.
Yeah, and he's like mad if you like alt click his pictures.
Speaking of alt clicking, move on.
Exactly.
The old prospector is one of the coolest dudes I've ever seen.
Aww.
Hard agree.
Yes.
That's right. Those are the Letterboxd one-liners for Treasure of Sierra Madre. Please follow the show's Letterboxd HQ account at Movie Night Extra, where we're logging this film and many others on all Letterboxd stories.